In the summer of 2001, General Dostum galvanized his troops for a major military thrust against the Taliban-occupied province of Zari by holding a series of war councils and rallies across the remote mountain villages of the Hindu Kush.
از جانب رئیس جمهور دولت اسلامی افغانستان یعنی سلام‌های رئیس جمهور دولت اسلامی افغانستان محترم پروفسور استاد ربانی و محترم احمد شاه مسعود سلام اکرامات بر شما زیاد تقدیم می‌کنم با شما وسیله شوید و من حیث قماندان شما یعنی قماندان صفات شما از شما همه مجاهدین قهرمان سپاسگزار هستیم که در طی 3 سال و وقت همه مشکلات‌های فراوان با دادن قربانی بهترین قهرمان قماندان‌هایمان
As Dostum described his campaigns in the summer of 2001 to me, he spoke with great reverence of the Uzbeks' much-beloved horses, which he described as the Uzbek Humvee, referring to the sturdy American all-terrain military vehicle. Dostum in particular referred to the important role that the Uzbek horses played in allowing his troops to skirt entrenched Taliban positions throughout northern Afghanistan to avoid the main highways and bases and launch guerrilla strikes against the much more powerful Taliban occupation forces. The Uzbeks' horses proved to be the perfect vehicles for conveying the Uzbeks into combat against the much heavier armed Taliban occupation forces. As Dostum explained to me, the Taliban had mechanized brigades, heavy armor including T-55 and T-62 main battle tanks, and they were thus able to prevent the Uzbek raiders from breaking out of the Hindu Kush mountains and liberating the Uzbek-dominated plains of the north. In response to the Taliban's overwhelming military superiority, the Uzbek insurgents limited themselves to cavalry campaigns and guerrilla strikes against the Taliban occupation forces. But as the summer of 2001 rolled into September, Dostum's hard-pressed raiders began to take heavy casualties from the powerful Taliban army and Al-Qaeda 055 International Support Brigade. Meanwhile, in the distant North America, the citizens of the United States went about their business unconcerned about the irrelevant struggles of unknown peoples in a forgotten Cold War battlefield known as Afghanistan.
8:45 a.m. Captured on home video, a Boeing 767 passenger jet slams into the top floors of One World Trade Center, the North Tower. Flames and thick black smoke are shooting from a gaping hole in the side of the building. 18 minutes after the first impact, at 9:03, Americans watch in horror as Flight 175 hits the second tower.
Holy shit!
An explosion, and the South Tower is now in flames.
A second airplane just ran into the building!
On October 19, 2001, the United States of America arrived in Dostum's isolated mountain lands in the form of a 12-man Special Force A-team known as Tiger II, which had been infiltrated into Dostum's lands in a Chinook helicopter from neighboring Uzbekistan. This U.S. Special Forces A-team's mission was to provide close air support for Dostum's horse-mounted raiders to facilitate their operations against the Taliban and enable them to break out of the Hindu Kush mountains and strike against the great Taliban city of Mazar-Sharif. Along with Dostum's horsemen, the Special Force team and several CIA operatives began to coordinate their activities to destroy the Taliban Army of the North in conjunction with the United States Air Force. Over the course of late October and early November 2001, these U.S. Special Forces, operating with Dostum's horsemen, perfected a deadly killing triad, whereby the ground force special operators, using laser designators and small laptop computers, conveyed the coordinates of the Taliban army positions and tank brigades to circling United States Air Force bombers. As these coordinates were then sent to American aircraft loitering in the region, circling U.S. Navy F-18 Hornets and F-14 Tomcats, and on occasion the respected B-52 Stratofortress bomber, which is known in the local dialect as the Beeping Joe Do, began to wreak havoc on the Taliban entrenched positions. As the Taliban's tanks and armor went up in spectacular balls of fire, Dostum's horsemen, armed with anti-tank grenades and AK-47 machine guns, charged through the bomb smoke, mowing down the shell-shocked Taliban. Working closely with Dostum's riders, the American Special Force air controllers collectively helped destroy thousands of Taliban fighters who had blocked the mountain passes of the Hindu Kush, preventing Dostum's riders from bursting out of the mountains and attacking the Taliban in the plains. But the unexpected destruction of so many Taliban in US airstrikes finally paved the way for Dostum to break out of the hills and contemplate moving on Mazar Sharif. When asked by his American Special Force comrades-in-arms what he and his soldiers needed most in order to conduct a heavy cavalry charge through the mountains and down to the plains, Dostum told his American friends, "Provide us with hay, and we will take Mazar Sharif, the capital of the north and the key to Taliban power in northern Afghanistan." In response to Dostum's request, the American Air Force airlifted bales of hay and ammunition and parachuted them into the rugged mountains of the Hindu Kush to supply Dostum's horsemen with the fuel and fodder for their impending attack on the Taliban. By the first week of November of 2001, Dostum's recharged horsemen were finally ready to launch an assault and a blow against the Taliban in the north of Afghanistan. As the US constantly supported their movements by raining JDAMs and laser-guided ammunition upon Taliban positions, several US Special Forces operating with Dostum's troops sent back the following message to Paul Wolfowitz, the Deputy Secretary of Defense of the United States of America. This message read as follows: "I am currently advising an Uzbek soldier on how best to employ light infantry and horse cavalry in attacks against Taliban T-55 tanks, mortars, artillery, armored personnel carriers, and machine guns, all of which are tactics that I thought had become outdated with the invention of the Gatling gun in the 1800s. We have witnessed Dostum's horsemen bounding over watch from spur to spur, attacking Taliban strong points the last several kilometers of their charge, usually under Taliban heavy mortar, artillery, and sniper gunfire." As Dostum's riders swept northward out of the mountains, Dostum's cameraman captured these images of slain and captured foreign Al-Qaeda 055 fighters, which testified to the ferocity and brutality of the battles which took place as Dostum's horsemen moved through cities such as Sholgar, Kashende, and Tangi Hassan. The terror in the eyes of these captured foreign jihadi fighters is obvious, as is the horror in the eyes of this Taliban commander who was captured by Dostum. The irony, Dostum told me, was that this very Taliban commander had once mocked him on his wireless radio, mocking Dostum for having no tanks, no aircraft, no bombers, and no heavy artillery to match the Taliban's heavy weapons. But now, with the world's most powerful air force offering him close air support, Dostum finally captured the prize of the north, the great city of Mazar Sharif, on November 10, 2001. On that day, Dostum triumphantly entered the city of Mazar Sharif and made his way to the famous Blue Dome Mosque of Ali to give prayers of thanks to Allah for allowing him to achieve his remarkable victory over the Taliban. Soon thereafter, General Dostum commenced a triumphant march across the north of Afghanistan, where throngs of well-wishers came to greet him and considered him to be a Milli Kahraman, a people's hero, for liberating them from the oppressive Taliban regime.